Hey, loves. Welcome back to the Heal with Grace podcast. I am so glad that you are here. Today's conversation might land a little bit differently. It's tender, it's validating, and it might crack something open. So take a deep breath, tune in, allow the messages here to really settle into your body, into your nervous system. I want you to really feel what it's like to be in your body as you go through and reflect on what we're talking about today, about the emotional components of your physical health. Notice if you're having a little bit of resistance or hesitation or criticism around what I'm going to share with you. There's no right or wrong, nothing bad about that. Just be curious. I ask you to be open and curious, and maybe let this be an episode for a moment where you're not trying to do or fix anything. You're just here. You're just listening with me, with yourself. Here's the truth. So many of us are doing all the right things: therapy, stress, stretching, breath work, clean eating, supplements, ice rolling our faces into oblivion, and still waking up in pain or feeling like we're walking through molasses. And what's often missed is the emotional weight the body is carrying. And I can very much so personally speak to this as well. I feel like it's been like layers and layers and layers of healing as years go on. And when I really drop into this message and work with the emotional state of my body and what's there, it's usually the biggest impact. But I keep forgetting it sometimes. I'm like, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. And I'm doing all the things. And then I forget, like, actually, I don't need to do all those things. I just need to pay attention to my emotions and my belief systems. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Like, actually, why is that true? What's the science behind it? We're talking about not just like these big T traumas that happen in life that we know can lead to physical illness, but the everyday, the quiet, the chronic emotional repression, the feelings we didn't have time, space, or safety for. And so we're going there today. I'm going to walk you through what the research says about emotions and physical health, the sneaky belief systems that keep you stuck in symptom loops, the emotional signatures that show up in different parts of the body, and why you learn to repress your emotions. Finally, I'm going to guide you through a little practice to help you gently listen to what your body is holding. So I highly recommend saving this episode so that you can always come back to it. Whether you've been dealing with chronic fatigue, gut issues, pelvic pain, mystery symptoms, fibromyalgia, chronic pain here or there, and no one seems to have the answers for it, this is very, very much for you. So let's start with the science, because it's not all woo-woo. Though we love a little woo here and there, right? And to be honest, I don't even really want to say that term. Like, and very much so in the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual space. So much though, I haven't even really shared all of my healing practices on the spiritual side, and I will probably get there. But this is not that. This is truly what's going on, mind and body. So, okay, first and foremost, back in the 1970s and 80s, Dr. John Sarno started noticing something strange. He's the founder of what he called tension myositis syndrome, what we now know as we call neuroplastic symptoms or syndromes. So he was treating patients for chronic back pain, and many of them showed no abnormalities on imaging, nothing that would explain the intensity of their pain. What he did find was a common emotional thread: rage, stress, pressure, and grief. So, this coined the term tension myositis syndrome, or TMS, because this is where physical symptoms were being caused by emotional tension. The brain, in an effort to protect the person from emotional overwhelm, was creating physical pain as a distraction. Wild, right? But it worked. People who began to express, to feel, and to acknowledge those hidden emotions started to feel better, sometimes dramatically better. And this is what kicked off a big part of this movement. And then now we're seeing in the past 5 to 10 years, like a whole new movement of that, where some of these people that worked with Dr. Sarno have been bringing this work out for a long time. And now it's becoming even more and more widely known, which is just amazing. Then came Dr. Gabor Maté, whose work has been transformational for so many of us in the field. His book, When the Body Says No, looks at the link between chronic illness and emotional suppression, especially in people who are highly empathetic, highly functional, and highly avoidant of conflict. He talks about the disease prone personality. And it's not because you're to blame, but because your body has been adapting to your emotional environment for years, which causes some of these personality characteristics. There's other people like Howard Schubiner, who is the co founder of Emotional Awareness and Expressive Therapy, which, by the way, he's coming on the podcast, so stay tuned. And he teaches emotional expression to heal chronic symptoms. Teaches therapists, teaches clients, does really amazing work in this space, and takes a lot of what he knows now from Dr. John Sarno's work. There's also Nicole Sachs, who took Sarno's work, who actually worked with him and said, okay, this is wonderful, but how do we actually feel all this repressed stuff? She created a practice called Journal Speak, which I've actually talked about on here, where you just write exactly what you're feeling, raw, unfiltered, angry, messy, tender, for about 20 minutes a day. And the goal is to give the unspoken emotions a voice so the body doesn't have to scream. So, yes, emotional repression shows up in the body. And when we don't acknowledge what's inside, our body takes a hit. So let's look at exactly how this plays out in the body. I'm going to say the term TMS, like tension myositis syndrome, or neuroplastic symptoms, as synonymous. They're the same thing, just FYI. But specifically, if you've ever had something that flares when you're holding in frustration, or gut issues when you're around people who make you feel small, or when you're stressed or didn't get enough sleep, or maybe you've had neck pain when you're carrying invisible emotional weight. Here are a few emotional patterns I see over and over and over again in my work, and is very much so shown in a lot more like Eastern modalities of understanding the different emotional centers in the body and organs associated with emotions and different parts of the body associated with emotion. So can be really helpful when you're like, okay, like I understand this concept, but I don't I don't even know how to get in touch with emotions. I don't even know what I'm feeling, or I have no idea what's there. So this can just give you a suggestion as to, okay, if you have these parts of your body that feel pain or feel symptoms, you might, and I'm going to say might because not everyone is the same, right? But you might have some of these emotions. For example, repressed anger a lot of times shows up as chronic physical pain, jaw tension, migraines, and even autoimmune flares. Anger is a mobilizing energy. When it's turned inward instead of outward, it creates a kind of emotional combustion, if you will. So anger really has this sense of like force, right? It can be really positive and it can help bring some motivation and energy. But again, if we suppress it, it's like we're holding on to this fire of neglect within us. And repressed anger is a very big one. We all have it. We all have it, especially if you're sitting there like, I don't feel anger. Yeah, you do. You do. You're just not aware, and you were never taught how to do it safely, so you just pushed it away. Grief tends to settle in the lungs and the chest. It can feel like pressure, like you can't quite breathe deeply. It often leads to fatigue, not just physical, but emotional heaviness, like deep, deep bone dense fatigue. I remember when I was going through my divorce, the first time I felt like intense grief. Yeah, I had a huge fatigue flare. I mean, I was in and out of that. Um, but to be honest, I didn't truly connect the dots at that time. Um, should have done this podcast at that time. Shame, a big one, often shows up in the gut. Nausea, bloating, IBS, pelvic pain, icy. Shame is a collapsing emotion. It pulls us inward and down, and the gut responds. You know that like sinking feeling in your gut when you recognize maybe you made a mistake or you accidentally did something wrong, or maybe you're afraid of doing something wrong? That ends up being shame when we feel it on that deep level. And shame is one of those sensations, emotions that can really wreak havoc on our bodies. I mean, it's shown time and time again. People like Brene Brown and Kristen Neff talk about shame resiliency all the time. And how it can really break us out of a dark pattern when we can work with shame and heal shame. Fear and hypervigilance. This is really common in clients with things like pelvic pain, bladder issues, or tension patterns in the hips, SI, hip patterns, joint issues around there. If you think about it, the body is bracing, it's scanning and holding, even when the quote unquote threat is long gone. We hold a lot of tension and emotion and fear and hypervigilance in our hips and our pelvic area. And especially when you've had years and years of pelvic issues, there's probably a long pattern of being fearful, hypervigilant because maybe there was an unpredictable environment around you, or a family member or a partner that you had to brace for because you couldn't fully release and be yourself around. Those are just some examples, but think of like bracing, scanning, holding, that like freeze response in the nervous system. So there are some beliefs that a lot of us have in common when dealing with chronic issues, chronic physical issues. Beliefs like I'm not safe, I'm too much, or I can't rest. These live in the nervous system. And remember, beliefs are not always conscious, they're very unconscious. But these beliefs wire us into sympathetic overdrive, or that fight or flight, or into dorsal collapse, freeze. So you may not even notice them because you're so familiar. They feel like you, but they're not you. They're very much so not you. It's just they've been so normal and you're unconscious for so long. But really what they are is adaptations. They're adaptations for your nervous system to keep you safe. These emotional patterns aren't random. They're maps. And your symptoms can be clues, not curses. So I want you to reflect on these different areas right now, maybe some of the emotions or the beliefs that I brought up, and really reflect on like, okay, does that make sense for me? Does that does that resonate in my body when I say that? Does it resonate when, if I'm having tension or pain in my shoulder, is it possible to have some repressed anger? And maybe it doesn't even fully make logical sense, but I guarantee you it's there. So let me give you an example of this. So, like someone who grew up in a family who seemed quote unquote fine, especially from the outside. I don't know, everything was somewhat normal. You strived in school, you got somewhat along with your siblings, and your parents had a job and pretty much provided you with what you needed. Fine on the outside. But when you look back and you start to learn, you recognize actually you were really never attuned to emotionally like you really needed to be. You never learned what safe emotions were. You never actually learned how to be vulnerable with your own self, with your family, how to really embrace the person that you are, not to strive for perfection or for productivity to actually be accepted, because there were these unspoken rules in your family that you didn't need to learn. Or, I mean, I'm sorry, that you did learn about how to be, when in reality, it didn't actually work for you. The biggest one here is that you probably were ignored on an emotional level. And that creates anger, but you were never learned how to feel that ever. Or maybe someone in your family did get angry, but it was a really scary angry. And so we just internalized anger's bad. So you never actually learned how to express it. But anger is a really wonderful expression. It can be, right? It's just that it gets scary when people abuse it. But anger's normal, anger's natural, it's mobilizing, and it's energetic. It's that fire within you that can motivate you to get things done, or to activate for some, or to make something known that you feel right about, right? Or that you're like trying to advocate for. So I hope that helps you understand anger a little bit more. Yeah. So why do we do all of this? Why do we hold it all in? And I mentioned it a little bit in my example, but basically it's because at some point it was safer to suppress them, to push them down, than to feel them. Many of us were raised in environments where emotions were ignored, they were minimized or punished. Maybe you were told, stop being dramatic. Don't cry, or I'll give you something to cry about. Be strong. Make good grades. Be easy. Don't be too much. Only be small. Don't make too much of a fuss. Don't ask too many questions. Play it safe. So you got the messages that your needs are inconvenient. Your feelings are too much. And your body said, okay, I'll take it from here. You learned to perform wellness. Smile through the pain. Be the helper. Be the strong one. And your body became the storage unit for everything you didn't know how to process. But here's the thing, your body remembers, and eventually it starts asking for attention. Not to punish you, but to invite you back. And that threshold, when the body starts acting out, that's not failure. That's a call to healing. Okay, I am going to lead you through a small practice just to give you an idea of how to start tuning into the emotional roots of your chronic sensations. So if you are not able to close your eyes and listen to this right now, that's totally okay. Keep listening. Allow it to just be there. Listen and keep doing what you're doing. But then I highly recommend that you save this and you come back and you practice when you can have a quiet space and close your eyes. Start to find a comfortable place, somewhere you can sit or lie down. Take a few deep breaths in through your nose and out through the mouth. Just starting to notice the breath, starting to notice your internal awareness. Just start to pay attention to your body without the need to fix it, to be aware of it, to make sensations go away, to push anything away. We're not fixing or doing anything here. Just bringing awareness to the present moment within your body. Now, just take a scan of your body to notice where you might feel some sensation. Again, no making meaning of it or trying to figure it out or make it go away. You're simply just noticing. You can also place a hand there if that feels okay, with a sense of compassion, and breathe into it gently, no pressure. There's no need to figure anything out. You're just noticing as we move along. I'm going to ask you a few questions that you can ask yourself. And what you're going to do is let whatever comes come. If there's nothing, that's fine too. It's totally okay. And if there's something, all you're going to do is notice. So ask yourself, what might be living here emotionally under this sensation? What might be living here emotionally in my body? What do I need to know? Ask the question and just keep breathing, allowing whatever to come to come. Maybe it's an image, a word, a sensation, or nothing. No need to figure it out. Just notice. Maybe you ask yourself, what haven't I given myself permission to feel? What haven't I given myself permission to feel? With each exhale, imagine softening around that place. You don't have to go in and fix it, just be with it. Maybe you say to yourself gently, it's safe to feel. There's nothing wrong with me. My symptoms are messengers, and I'm listening now. Continue to breathe here and stay here for as long as you need. If you want to take some more time with it, and give yourself all the time. And if you're ready, take a few more breaths. Start to bring your awareness back to the space around you and slowly come back to my voice and open your eyes. So here's the truth. Your body has never been against you. It's been carrying you, speaking for you, protecting you. But healing asks us to shift the conversation from fixing and fighting to listening and partnering. Yeah. I really hope that this resonated. This was helpful today, and that this sparked some more awareness around the root of your symptoms. And just know that you don't have to do this alone. And if you want to go deeper, if you want to really get some support around this is exactly what I help you do in the Mind Body Healing Method. I teach this work in a way that's safe, grounded, and step by step. We don't bypass anything, we don't sugarcoat it, but we do walk with you. If something stirred in you today, come find me on Instagram, Heal with Grace, or head to the show notes to join the Mind Body Healing Method. We have some special pricing going on, so make sure to check that out. And remember, you're not broken, you're brilliant, and you're allowed to feel it all because feeling is healing. Keep healing with grace, and I'll see you next time.